Let's play ball. The 2024 MLB season is underway, and I am here with one of the biggest baseball fans I know, Johnny Giunta of the Gate 14 podcast. We're here to preview the 2024 MLB season. Some Blue Jays love, some other teams love, some best bets, some teams to stay away from, and really just celebrating that baseball is back in 2024. So I will pass it to Johnny. Johnny, how excited are you for this season of the MLB?
I'm fired up, man. Obviously, felt like a long off season, even though it wasn't, because the baseball season's the longest out of all sports. But I'm juiced, man. I mean, if you're listening to if you're listening to the show right now, baseball's already been being played, and I have chills even saying that. So it's going to be electric. Baseball gambling is a crapshoot, to be honest. You kind of just gotta. It doesn't even really matter how much you know your stuff. It's kind of a crapshoot, kind of go on a little bit of a heater, but. I just can't wait to start hammering nerfies, pitcher props, everything. It is going to be electric to be able to grind those at night again.
Well, as we are recording the day before the Blue Jays opening day, let me ask you and be honest, will you be sleeping tonight?
No, yeah, I'll be sleeping. The thing is, I'll be fired up. Like, I'll be watching the hype videos. Gate 14 just dropped the official win song for the Toronto Blue Jays on Twitter. We did that yesterday. That did well. So I'm looking forward to hearing that a lot this year and watching some ball, man. I mean, there's nothing really like it. I know a lot of people hate baseball, but it's just you watch a good baseball game, you start to appreciate how cool baseball is. So we already got 2 games canceled tomorrow, which sucks because of the weather, but the Jays are good to go. They're playing in a dome, so we don't have to worry about that.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, to your point there, I was not really the biggest baseball fan. My dad's a big Jays fan, so I kind of keep in the loop with what he has going. And I did watch the World Series last year, and it was pretty electric, especially once you get into the betting aspect of things. Baseball is such a unique sport to bet on, where it's like you can kind of treat every inning as a different game when it comes to betting, and just all the different ways you can live bet. It's definitely one of the most interesting sports to bet on live, I would say.
Oh, yeah. I love the pitcher props stuff. That stuff's fun because it gives you kind of a rooting interest, a game within the game, which makes it electric. I also like the bases props for hitters. The Nerfie's obviously a great bet if you want to just get in and get out. I know that's very massive craze on the internet right now is betting the Nerfie and the Yerfie. But I've took a little deep dive into some stats for opening day that I made a TikTok about the other day that I'm locked into. So it is going to be unbelievable to be able to watch baseball on my TV every single day until October. It's going to be unbelievable.
I can hear it. I can hear it in the voice. Like I'm saying, I'm just picturing you now. Is it just every evening now from, the day we're recording, March 28th, the start of the season until October? Is this just baseball every night? Is it mixing in some nights going out? Like what does the next few months look like for you?
What the Jays do is, which makes it beautiful, is they play at 4:00 on Saturday. So we kind of treat that as our we don't stream on weekends because they don't like the viewership isn't as high because everyone's kind of out and about. But we stream usually Monday to Friday, and then Saturday nights we go out with I go with my buddies in Toronto or whatever. We go to the Jays game at 4 and treat it as kind of like a pre, and then we go out at the night. So summers in Toronto are the best because you just kind of go to a Jays game with the boys, kind of just relax, have some beers, and then you just kind of get after it in the night. So it's the perfect recipe, and then you got 1:00 game the next day. So I missed it. I didn't realize how much I missed it until I was in November and December, and I was like, man, I'd kill for a baseball game.
That's incredible. I can hear the passion in your voice, and I'm sure anyone watching or listening can see it too. So very excited to get into the baseball season this year, especially from the betting side. You guys got me into it with the soccer. Once you throw in the betting, I'm definitely more interested in the sport. So we've talked a lot about Blue Jays betting here on Sports Interaction, but there's 31 other teams in this league we want to dive into here. So I'm looking at you, Johnny. When you look at the 2024 Major League Baseball seasons, what are the teams you're kind of targeting early in the season, later on, that may be undervalued by the books here that we can make some money on as bettors?
Well, one team that I was going to bring up is the Detroit Tigers. The Detroit Tigers are getting kind of a lot of public love right now, rightfully so. Their pitching rotation is pretty good. They kind of have been not disrespected by the book, but some of their lines, like tomorrow against the White Sox, they're only like -150, and they're a way better team than the Chicago White Sox. The Detroit Tigers are a sneaky team that I would look to be like trying to find good lines on, especially if their ace Tariq Skubal's pitching. But yeah, the Detroit Tigers are one for me. Another one for me is the Pittsburgh Pirates are kind of sneaky too. A lot of disrespect by the books with them as well, and the Minnesota Twins. Those are three teams that I'd be really looking at getting in the plus signs. Maybe pretty good bullpens on the Twins have a really good bullpen. The Tigers have a really good bullpen. So even if you could do a little late live bet, if they're down one, you know that bullpen's going to keep it close. But the Detroit Tigers, for me, are a team that I'm buying a lot of stock in. I think they're going to win the division. I think there'd be a pretty decent team in 2024 and kind of shock the world a little bit here.
Well, on that, looking at the Sports Interaction odds, 20 plus 2,500 for the Detroit Tigers to win the American League. So maybe a bit higher than the division, but is this a team you think can go all the way this year, or just a team that's going to surprise bettors early on?
I wouldn't say all the way. It's just the AL Central is a very big crapshoot. It's kind of just the Royals. You don't know what they're going to do. The Twins, like I mentioned, they're a good team, but it's just like they won like 84 games last year. So the Tigers are kind of sneaky, man. I don't know what are the odds for them to win the division. I think they're plus 380, I want to say, to win the division.
It's something around there, which shows that there's not a ton of confidence in them. Yeah. But to your point, I mean, I know you've mentioned before, not the biggest futures guy, but to anyone out there who really believes in the Detroit Tigers and what you're saying, that could be a great bet to start the season.
Me and Avery have them in the race to 10 bet, race to 10 wins. They kind of have like a cupcake schedule to start the season. They face the worst team in baseball in the White Sox for 4 games. Then they go to, I don't remember who they go to after that, but that's a sneaky team that I'm telling you, like, especially live betting. They have the young guns like Riley Green, who looks really good. Spencer Torkelson looks really good. Maybe he'll take the next step forward. They got Kerry Carpenter. This is a good club. Like the Detroit Tigers, I think will be good. And that is a team I will be betting on a decent amount in 2024, especially with how much disrespect they kind of get from the books in terms of value-wise for them, and the lines are very weird for them.
Well, that's good. They start the season in Chicago, taking on the White Sox this weekend. They have a 3-game series against the Mets to start next week.
Yeah, that's another kind of easy series, kind of.
Well, then it gets even easier. They roll into a home series against the Oakland Athletics that takes them into the week after. Yeah. And then they're on the road in Pittsburgh. So
see, like that's an easy schedule. I know Sean can maybe back me up on this, but those are 4 teams that they could easily win 4 straight series there. And for them, I want to say the race to 10, they're about plus 2,500. I'm not sure, but it's definitely really good value for them to win the race to 10.
Yeah, no, I agree with you that they're undervalued. Skubal is pitching tomorrow, and that is an easy schedule to start the season. I know the Orioles have an easy start to the season as well, so there's somebody I'd be looking at in that same market. But yeah, no, the Tigers are a good shout. I like them a lot.
Yeah, the Orioles are kind of chalk. I mean, I don't like taking a future like that where it's kind of just up in the air at plus 880. I believe the Orioles are to be the first to 10 wins. The Dodgers and the Padres are obviously the very, very high favorites because they've already played 2 games and they both have a win each. But yeah, I would definitely take a flyer on this Detroit Tigers team. And I know once the show drops next week, they'll be facing the A's. I would be looking at a lot of run lines there, maybe some team total unders for the Athletics, solely based on the fact that the Tigers pitching staff is good and their bullpen is actually pretty decent as well. So that's something I would definitely be taking a flyer on next week once the show drops, is the team total under for the Oakland Athletics when they are facing the Detroit Tigers.
Okay. Right now, believe it or not, the Twins have the highest odds to win the Central at minus 125. The Tigers coming in at second at plus 350.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the Twins as well.
Like, that's what the book is telling you. I mean, the book, like the numbers there is telling you they think they have a good chance. I mean, the Twins, who won the division last year, kind of barely won the division, kind of squeaked through, swept the Jays, albeit, but they aren't returning Sonny Gray. Some of their guys are very injury prone, and Byron Buxton. So I really do like what this Tigers team could potentially do. And they're kind of coming into this season with not a chip on their shoulder, but no one really believes in them. They have a World Series winning manager in AJ Hinch, who won the World Series 3 years ago, as we know, with the Houston Astros. So there is, or 5 years ago, sorry, with Houston Astros. I really do like this team. I really do. I'm going to be betting on them a lot. They're either going to be losing me a lot of coin or making me rich this year. I don't know.
Okay. You mentioned the Astros. What about the Texas Rangers coming off a big dub? Do you think they can repeat? Is that a fluke performance? I know their run was a bit of a Cinderella-esque. Anything on on that team? Are they kind of frauds, or you think that they're a legit team this year?
That's a team I'll be betting against. So I know we have a part of the segment here who we will be fading this year. I think that Texas Rangers team is going to be struggling this year. Their pitching staff, everyone is injured. Max Scherzer won't be playing until a couple months into the season. Jacob deGrom, who's one of the best starting pitchers ever, throws 100 on the block every single pitch. He's insane. Won't be here till at least, I believe they said August. So they're going to be relying on some guys that aren't really proven pitchers, and their bullpen is very, very bad. So the Texas Rangers is the team that I'd kind of shy away from betting on. I know they have that pedigree from winning the World Series. Everyone's going to talk about that, but This is a really good lineup with a very, very, very poor pitching staff. And they're going to have to score tons of runs. I'd probably lean their overs too. A lot of the Texas Rangers games, I would bet their overs. Very good lineup.
Okay. So would you say that the World Series win was a fluke then, or just everything kind of falling into place at the right time? Like, it seems odd to have a team, come off a World Series win and just kind of go the opposite direction here.
Well, yeah, that's baseball, though. I mean, the Arizona Diamondbacks made it to the World Series last year after winning like 84 games. So It's kind of who can get hot in the playoffs. Their bats got hot, and their bullpen was really good in the playoffs. But last year, their bullpen was very bad throughout the entire season. They made the playoffs, I believe, the second last day of the year. They clinched the playoff spot, or the third last day of the season. So this is a team that I'm selling. I'm not buying a lot of stock in. I do not think this Texas Rangers team is going to be nearly as good as they were last year, especially with these question marks. And they're broke. They don't have a TV deal, I believe. So they haven't been able to. The reason why, like, all these need, like, their payroll is insane, which is why I'm saying they're broke.
Wow.
And they weren't able to sign big time free agents because they didn't have any money to fix those holes on the pitching staff, because they still have that Scherzer contract, which is massive for a 40-year-old, and Jacob deGrom, who was like one of the biggest pitching deals ever, is on the injured reserve. So this is a team that I think is going to struggle this year, especially coming out of the gate.
Just looking at now, apparently they just are in the process of finalizing a broadcast deal with Bally Sports. So
yeah, and Bally Sports,
1 month out of the season, they're finalizing a TV deal is a bit concerning, though.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where they're at. So it's like we're lucky with the Jays, man, being owned by Rogers, because we'll always have like a TV deal. They'll always be a rich team. Some of these teams don't really have TV deals, like the Cleveland Guardians, kind of struggling a little bit right now. The Rangers, like I mentioned, there's a lot of these teams here that do not have TV money like the Jays have, which is why fans get very mad when the Jays don't spend money, because they're kind of the richest team in baseball, or if not top three.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how Rogers has, where the Blue Jays play, they have the Jays and they have the TV, right? So it's really Canada's team, but more so Rogers' team.
Yeah.
Sticking in the AL East, one team you're quite vocal about as a Blue Jays fan that I see you on Twitter a lot talking about are the New York Yankees, a team that are very popular every season. A lot of people always like seeing them in the playoffs. Right now, plus 900 to win the World Series, fourth highest odds, plus 400 to win the American League. What do you think about the Yankees this season? Are they fugazi, or do they have a legit team?
I'll always say they're fugazi. Listen, their opening day starter is Nestor Cortez, who I think is a bum. I think Nestor Cortez, I think he was really bad last year, really bad this spring, and they're really relying on him to kind of fill the hole of Garrett Cole until Garrett Cole comes back 2 months into the season. Garrett Cole's the best pitcher in baseball. Don't get me wrong. He's the best pitcher in baseball, but they are going to be missing Garrett Cole a substantial amount. And there are 4 or 5 guys in the rotation, Clark Schmidt and Luis Gil. Those are 2 guys that are kind of question marks. You're really just relying on that. And the fact that Aaron Judge, coming off a injury last year, they're throwing him out in center field to play center field, which is one of the hardest positions, the most taxing position on the body for an injury-prone player, is very sketchy for me. So I would kind of be hesitant betting on New York Yankees stuff. They do have Juan Soto. They just traded for him, but this pitching rotation is not that great, and a lot of injury-prone players on that in that lineup, like Aaron Judge, like I mentioned, DJ LeMahieu's not playing start the year. Giancarlo Stanton is a very injury-prone player as well, and Anthony Rizzo had a concussion all of last season. So this is a team I'd be hesitant to bet against. I know they're heavy underdogs tomorrow anyways, but that's a team I probably wouldn't bet on based on those question marks.
Yeah, it's funny. It kind of reminds me of like the Dallas Cowboys, where it's like a team that always has the spotlights on them, the big name players. And I look at the odds right now. It seems like the books really love the Yankees this year, despite what you're saying. Fourth highest odds for the most regular season wins this season, plus 1,200. The top two candidates for AL MVP in Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. So it is interesting to hear kind of, as much a Blue Jays fan perspective, a baseball fan as well, kind of giving a hopefully honest critique of the Yankees this year. But it always seems to be a lot of talk, especially around here, where it's about the Blue Jays, it's about the Yankees. Would you consider the Yankees one of the Blue Jays' biggest rivals?
Oh yeah, it's like a massive hatred. The thing is Yankees and Red Sox are a big rivalry. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, they hate each, like those are like historic, goes back like 80, 90 years of hatred. But this Yankees-Jays rivalry is insane. They really, really hate each other. The fans hate me. My mentions are usually a cesspool of Yankee fans. For example, yesterday when I dropped the hype video for their win song, like the video that we edited, it was just all Yankee fans commenting. So they hate us. We hate them. It's bad. It's really bad. It's a pretty big rivalry, to be honest. I think it's bigger than I would say right now it's bigger than Yankees Red Sox because of how good the Yankees and the Jays are, and they're playing competitive baseball, which is why there's a massive hatred towards both of them.
Is it the equivalent of just kind of drawing in another sport? Is it like a Toronto-Boston style rivalry?
Yeah, I'd probably
Like
say that. I'd probably say it's that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, where it's like we don't like them. They've been good. It's our time to shine. Screw these guys. So I see the parallels there. And to your point, Yankees very, very much a lot of love in the sports books, but not a lot of love from you. So very interesting to see that. They start their season, I believe, against the Astros tomorrow. Yep. So you're fading the Yankees to start the season here based on the injuries.
The Astros are the Astros are good, man. I mean, there's just no denying that. They're a very good club. So every single year, but Yankees kind of got the gauntlet to start the season, man. I think they faced the Jays April 5th. They faced the Jays.
Astros, Diamondbacks, and then Blue Jays to start the season. So
that's a really tough that's a really tough 3 games to go. But they are facing the Jays at home. That's going to be their opening day, which is going to be electric. But I would probably I personally never bet on the Yankees, but if I'm an unbiased gambler, I would say to kind of shy away from them because their lines are always juiced because they're the Yankees, like the Cowboys, right? They always get like the big lines.
Yeah, drawing the parallels to the other sports, kind of where I'm starting to see it now. It makes a little more sense, and I kind of resonate with it a bit more. So I appreciate a bit of that. So we talked about teams to bet on, talked about teams to fade. I want to kind of dive into your betting strategy when it comes to baseball in the regular season. Are you looking at straight lines? Are you looking at overs? Is there certain props you're targeting? Like, how do you, as such a serious baseball fan, make money betting on baseball?
I don't. It's impossible to make money on. It's so hard, but I would say use websites that you have to your advantage, like Fangraphs or Baseball Savant. Kind of understand hitters' patterns. Like, for example, Kevin Biggio on the Blue Jays is really good against right-handed pitching.
Right.
Taking his bases, right? Like just certain little things like that. Just understanding how hitters do against certain pitchers, how hitters do against like the way pitchers throw, for example, like a lefty or a righty or a fastball heavy pitcher, how hitters hit against the fastball. But I would probably say that would be my piece of advice, would be looking at splits and looking at stats of past, like what hitters have done in those situations. But I would probably say that, and I really, really like pitcher strikeouts. I don't really take a deep dive that well into pitcher stats, but what you can look at is, especially tomorrow when you have no stats this season, you can kind of look how the Baltimore Orioles or whatever our other team did against lefties in 2023. You can see how this team hits against lefties, what their strikeout rate is, and if it's bad, you can kind of lean that way and take over in the pitcher strikeouts, just based off of how this team as a whole hits against left-handed pitchers. But it's a crowd. I mean, you could do all the research you want and it'd barely be profitable still. It's really hard. It's a really hard game to gamble on. There's so many games, sorry.
Yeah. Well, I find that, to your point about strikeouts, I do like the bets that kind of carry over beyond one inning, where you're watching it for, 5, 6, maybe 7 innings if a guy's a starting pitcher with strikeouts. I'm a big proponent of the Nerfies. As I've said before, not a biggest baseball fan, so if all I need to do is lock in for an inning, but I feel like those are sometimes 50-50. Like, you look at the pitching matchups, you think you have it. And so it's very interesting to hear that maybe strikeout something more long-term is a bit more sustainable than Nerfies or Yerfies. Are you a Nerfy guy or a Yerfy guy?
I like Yerfies. I'm a Yerfie guy because there is nothing more electric than a 2-out home run to hit the Yerfie when it's dead as shit right from the get-go.
Right.
I do enjoy that. But Nerfies are electric because you're kind of just, I mean, you're
The
sweating.
blood pressure. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, you're like, it's probably the best bet in sport, honestly. It's like the most electric and the most like emotionally draining bet in sports because you're really just hoping no one gets on. It's a sweaty bet, but god damn it, is it worth it? It is worth it. I love Nerfies are so fun. They're very fun. I might take it tomorrow, actually. We'll see. We'll sweat it on stream. I might take the Nerfie tomorrow.
Let's do that. I find it's just every pitch matters. Like even when, because the way the camera cuts, you don't know when the ball's going foul or like when as soon as you hear the call, you're like, oh shit, there it is. And then it's just, Nerfie's definitely worth the sweat. But I know we're a big fan of seeing runs and seeing offense, so might need to dive into some Yerfies this year as well.
Yeah, you love to see it. And I mean, you're also betting against the best hitters in both lineups.
That's true.
Top of the order.
That's true.
So it's very tough, but it is so electric.
So with the first, let's say, 2 weeks to month of the season, are games typically higher scoring or lower scoring as people kind of adjust to the start of the season?
Well, the totals are kind of dictating it. All the totals tomorrow were in the 7.5, 8.5 range, which is very strange. They're usually like 8.5, 9. But I would say the start of the year, the totals are a little bit lower because of the weather, playing in the cold, obviously. But yeah, I would say the totals go a little bit higher once season starts. You start seeing like 10.5, 10, 9.5 range. But yeah, tomorrow they're really low, and at the start of this season they are pretty significantly lower than how they are midway through.
Okay. So look to the unders early in the year, and then as we start to get into the swing of things, start looking at the overs or kind of paying attention to the lines, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. Well, we talked about the Nerfy, the Yerfy, chasing strikeouts. Are there any other electric, dare I say, baseball bets to make this season, whether it's a future or in any single game?
I would probably lean. My piece of advice, and I'm assuming this probably a clip, but I would probably lean for new gamblers out there. If you like a pitching matchup, taking the first 5 under or taking the first 5 innings money line to take the bullpens out of the bet. So, for example, tomorrow it's Barrios versus Eflin, right?
Yes.
2 pretty good pitchers. If you will like Barrios against this Rays lineup, you take Jay's first 5 money line and eliminate the bullpen out of it. You never know what bullpens are going to do, right? So the first 5 is something that you should really take a look at if you like a side because of the pitcher, and eliminate the other factors such as the bullpen or late inning heroics or anything along those lines.
I like that. Also, if you're not trying to watch a full game and you only have time to watch first 5 innings, right? You can lock in hour and a half at most, and then your bet's done. You can take on something else. So very interesting. I never thought of it like that. It's essentially half a game when it's just starter versus starter there. Yeah,
it's a great bet. It's a great bet because you bet on the pitcher and the lineup. You don't bet on the bullpen. If you want to bet on the bullpen, that's when you take full game. That's how you do that.
Sean?
One of my favorite things about baseball betting is because you can micro bet so many different things is I like the first 5 under as well, but also if I'm a degenerate, and I am, I'll take the no run in the first, and then I'll take the no run in the second, and I'll take the no run. And it's like almost like a parlay, you know what I mean?
That's a good one. I did that for the Dodgers Padres last week. I took hits over 1.5 hits in an inning. Now that is a degenerate bet. That is a very
like team total hits or game total
over 1.5 hits in the inning. So like tomorrow you could take over 1.5 hits in the first inning of the Jays game. The line's usually -110, but it is so sweaty, man, because you have guys get on base from walks or stuff like that, or someone makes a sick play. It's a very tough bet to get behind. And sometimes you could bet over 1.5 hits, but the Yerfy hits, and you feel like an absolute idiot because there's a run scored in the first inning based off a walk or whatever, sacrifice fly, and then they don't get 2 hits. It's very you're treading water when you're betting those type of things for sure.
So not necessarily hedging a Nerfy with taking the over on hits. Sometimes it doesn't work.
Sometimes it doesn't work.
Interesting. Yeah, a lot of intricacies to baseball betting on a micro level. Very It's a lot more complex than I thought, but definitely excited for the season. Going to take some of these teams into account, who to bet on, who not to bet on, some of these bets. And if you're watching this, we'll have already had our Blue Jays watch party to start the season, home opener coming up in a few weeks. So a great time to be a baseball fan and a Blue Jays fan. Johnny, before we end today, I just wanted to test your knowledge on the Blue Jays here. So part of the party tomorrow, you'll be watching this, it'll already be over. We're doing some Blue Jays trivia to really see who the real fans are to win some prizes. So I have a couple questions that I've put together here today that I wanted to run by you. Yep. Really test the Blue Jays knowledge over the last few seasons. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So what year did the Blue Jays first make the postseason?
1988.
Close.
Is it 87?
Lower. A little bit lower.
86?
One more lower.
85. Okay, that's
1985.
Wow. Okay. I'll text you some funny questions that are like listener-based stuff that we have, that it's like, if you're a listener of Gate 14 with the inside jokes we have with the players, that the real riders will get that question right. So yeah, like some nicknames we have for players, appropriate ones, obviously, I'll get you. And then
yes,
there's some stuff that we could pull up that would be very funny, that see if people are like real riders, real Gate 14 listeners. So it should be good.
Okay, for sure. Well, we got some more Blue Jays history trivia here, but the Gate 14 trivia we'll definitely have going at the party.
Yeah.
Who was the last Blue Jays starting pitcher in their last playoff victory?
The starting pitcher, that would have been game 5, I want to say, against the Kansas City Royals in 2016. Marco Estrada?
No. They were playing Cleveland, if that helps.
Oh, Cleveland. Okay, so that was the year after. That's a tough question. Maybe I don't know ball.
Aaron Sanchez.
The Sanchez. That's a
Sanchez.
tough. No one's gonna get that one. That
no, okay. This is also like a temperature check of what we're gonna do here to know.
A good one. I mean, I think the majority of the people that will be there are probably in like the 18 to like 28 range, probably. So they'll probably get that.
Okay.
But yeah, there's some Gate 14 ones you could throw in there that'll be funny.
Oh, for sure.
Like, what school did Avery go to, or just random shit like that.
Like your stat line or something.
The real OGs will understand and know.
Okay. Yeah. Couple more here for you today. Words. Which Blue Jays player has made the most All-Star games in team history? Sean, if you know as well.
Sean's got to know. It's got to be an older guy.
Which Blue Jays player has made the most All-Star games in team history?
Oh.
It is an older guy, to answer your question.
Is it Roberto Alomar?
It is not.
Is it from that era? I was gonna guess Molitor.
It is,
but Molitor wasn't on the team.
Or John Olerud?
It is Dave Stieb.
Holy shit.
1980, 81, 83 to 85, 88, and 1990. God
damn.
So for that decade, he had 7, which is pretty insane to think about. Hall of Fame for sure. All right, we got two more questions here.
Let's hear it.
Which Blue Jays pitcher has the record for the most starts on opening day?
This got to be another old one.
Stroman?
No.
Definitely not Stroman.
Show.
Roy Halladay?
Yes, that is correct. 7.
Okay.
7 opening day starts for Roy Halladay.
The GOAT.
There we go. And finally, who was the first draft pick for the Blue Jays in the 1976 expansion draft?
I mean, I couldn't even tell you a player from that team. Sean, do you know?
Oh, absolutely not.
Little before the time.
Even before my time.
Bob Baylor.
There's just no one's getting that one.
Thanks, ChatGPT, for that one.
You might want to just narrow it down to when were the Jays founded instead. And maybe even people won't get 1976.
Yeah, I know.
You know
It's the temperature check. ChatGPT gave me these. Truthfully, accountability time. Got these from AI. So
okay, write this question down for tomorrow.
All right.
Who were the last 3 Blue Jays to wear number 7? Because that's an inside joke for Gate 14. So I'm hoping the people get that. The last 3 Blue Jays, including this year, to wear number 7.
Do you know, Sean?
including this year. No,
7. Yeah.
It's all of our inside joke players. I have a jersey of one. It's like one of my good
wasn't
buddies.
Luplo was one of them?
Luplo.
Yeah,
So
Luplo
yeah,
was
it's
Okay.
good.
You got one.
Luplo. And then we used to obviously make a lot of jokes about Bradley Zimmer. So it's
Oh,
Bradley
it's the
Zimmer.
Zimmer.
And then Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. So that's
Oh.
like the 3. Yeah, like that's a funny joke that like people would like have to think about a little bit, but they'd probably get it. Not fast, but it'd be like a funny question.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll add that to the T. That was all the Blue Jays trivia I had for today. So I learned a little bit as well looking up some of these questions. But yeah, tomorrow's going to be fun. If you're listening and watching now, I hope your ass was there because you missed out if you weren't. Really excited. 2024 MLB season's going to be electric. Blue Jays are going to be great. The baseball is going to be great. And even better, the gambling is going to be great. Johnny, I appreciate you coming on, sharing some wisdom. Be definitely looking at some of those teams and looking back on this conversation in a few months, and excited for baseball this season. Any last words for the baseball fans and bettors as we head into 2024? It's
a marathon, not a sprint. Don't hammer out all your bets the first week and tire yourself out. Take it easy and just let it ride. It's a long ass season.
For sure.
Very long season. So just trust the process. Marathon, not a sprint. Ride the roller coaster of baseball betting and just enjoy the ride. Bet responsibly with Sports Interaction, obviously, as well. And let's have ourselves a year, man. I'm pumped. I am so pumped to have baseball back.
For sure. Well, make sure you follow Sports Interaction on all your social media platforms to see clips from some of these shows, some baseball betting, some picks, some live streams, and make sure to bet responsibly, as Johnny said. And as always, bet local.